Hello,
Hey everyone, Banshee here.
Oberon.
Welcome to Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with us.
How you doing?
Well, I've had a pretty crazy day. How about yourself?
It wasn't the worst, but it probably wasn't the best either.
Wasn't that kind of predicted in our cards?
Yes, it was in a way,
In our
wasn't it?
Tarot for Tomorrow cards. Well, hi everybody. We're going to give a few minutes for people to get here. And it says Tarot for Today. And in case you are just joining us for the first time, we are going to do tarot readings. We're going to have tarot entertainment.
But who are we?
But who are we?
We are Oberon and Banshee, longtime tarot readers in the Detroit area. And we are here to finally share our knowledge, bigger than life, larger than live stream, something like that. And we hope to entertain you, but we also hope to help you and to advise you and to give you some insights into what may be going on so that your hectic day can maybe have a little bit of a shine or an outlook that's better.
Well, true. So true. However, we're not all sunshine and smiles and roses because sometimes our days are just not like that, And you have to be aware that things could go wrong. And so when we see that, we're going to let you know in the cards. It's not always going to be happy, but hopefully we'll give you some coping tools along the way that will help you.
So you can join us twice a week. You can join us on Thursday nights from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or on Sunday afternoons Eastern Standard Time from 2 to 4 p.m. And that's at our YouTube channel, TFT Tarot for Today.
And wait a minute. They could join us 7 days a week on our Facebook page and
That's
Twitter
right.
pages.
Right, because we have content that's ongoing every day there. We do Tarot for Tomorrow, which is a card we pull in the evening for the day ahead.
And so on Twitter, you'll see Tarot Tweet for Tomorrow, which is just an abbreviated version because, Twitter, it's kind of like the haiku of the internet universe. So you got to keep it short. So we just kind of tease you and give you a line or two from our reading to send you off to our Facebook page to look at the rest of it. We do a single card draw for the day ahead just to give you some kind of clue to see how things are going in your life for that day. It may not be relevant for everyone, but you may find the relevancy there. And when you read it, take note of it because maybe you weren't expecting things to go that way. But after the day is done, you'll say, "Hey, that Oberon and Banshee, they might have been onto something."
It's true. We might have been. You never know.
You never know with us.
Also, too, in terms of our tarot page or Facebook page, we have some tarot card producers who we've recently friended, and so they're sending us some information about tarot cards. So we share that too on our Facebook page. Occasionally we comment. If you like our page, you could actually get involved in the conversation too.
As we expand our reach outward in the internet, I'm sure we'll have more resources and things to share with you on our page.
So check it out.
Well, what time do we got? It's 7:05-ish. So
Yeah.
should we get going? What
Our
we like
next
to do in
segment?
the beginning is review some of the cards we drew for Tarot for Tomorrow, during the days since our last live stream, and just go over them a little bit and talk about how relevant or not they've been for us. And as we get more people joining in on the chat that will be looking at our readings on Facebook, maybe they can chime in too their comments on how their week went. And I have to say, this was not a happy week as far as our cards went. We had a bit of reversals. We had a lot of heavy major arcana cards. What do you have to say?
Well, the card for Monday was the Hermit reversed. And I said that I found it interesting that we are pulling a lot of major arcana, and we had actually pulled maybe one or two since then. But the readings are for the audience at large, and so we're trying to find that higher energy or value of the cards and sometimes maybe we're holding back from being more specific because we need to put that into broader context. So why don't you say what you actually said about the Hermit card?
I don't remember what I said about the Hermit card, to be honest. But I did think I was saying at the time that it was yet another reversal. So I can't remember what the card was the day before, but we must have had yet another reversal. So the Hermit reversed was, I kind of think I told people that they should be careful of the advice they give to others. They might steer people the wrong way. Maybe they weren't the best people to give out advice to others. And, my Monday, I can't totally remember if that was relevant for me or not. I'm kind of thinking not. Oh, look who joined us. It's Sunman.
This is our one of our unofficial guest stars or recurring assistants.
Recurring stars of the broadcast. Actually, Sunman seems to be the one that takes the most interest and is hogging the stage at the moment.
He seems to be attracted to the energy here, or maybe he thinks we have some snacks nearby. Not
That
sure.
could be, but he just ate. So, and being that they're all on a diet, they shouldn't be doing that. So Tuesday was the Ace of Pentacles, and was that one also reversed?
It was reversed as well, and I said that it didn't bode well for new projects or ventures related to money or possessions or banking. It could mean that there was a big delay or the thing doesn't happen at all. So an example would be job offers that vanish, or a loan that doesn't come through. Maybe the budget doesn't include funds to start something right now. What did you think about that one?
Well, I kind of went a sort of a little slightly different tact. I just felt that maybe it was about feelings of I don't know how to say this now. Maybe you're spending too much time thinking about all your possessions and all your wealth and procuring more stuff. And, I suggested to people it's time to spend more time and thought on the things that money can't buy, such as your family, your friends, your pets, Sunman, for example, here. And, that those are things, and to break away from the materialistic thinking a little bit. I think I went that
I think
route.
that's a good point because the Ace of Pentacles in either aspect is about the financial picture around you. And so when it's reversed, maybe we're just saying that financial picture isn't necessarily happening the way you want it to, and or like you said, maybe it's time to look at value from other places of your life, not just the financial. Because there's other values. There's an emotional value. There's a mental or spiritual value. So those are other ways we can deal with some of those aspects.
Yes, very good. And that led us to Wednesday, where we had the Six of Wands reversed yet again, another reversal. And to me, that meant that maybe things that you felt would be, you would achieve a win of some sort, a victory, was not going to have the desired outcome you expected. Maybe being too focused on the prize kind of sets you back from achieving that prize. It's kind of how I looked at that.
Yeah, and I kind of mentioned that, Wednesday is typically in our culture considered hump day. So it's reaching the high point of hard work and then hopefully coasting downward or being able to slow down as the work week nears its end. So this will not necessarily be the case, especially in the work world. Things may seem frightfully inadequate and you will be needing some serious rest and retool time. Be prepared to take a retreat of some sort. So I sort of saw that as that, the Six of Wands, it was the Six of Wands, right? Yeah.
Yes, reversed, yep.
It is about, sort of a coming out into the open and feeling acknowledged. But when it's reversed, maybe it's saying like it's time to hunker in and think about something else going on, retool yourself, rest a little bit. Which leads us, you wanted to say something else?
Yeah, I did want to say something. I really did like that statement of yours to be prepared for a retreat of some sort. It's definitely what it means in a way, in the Six of Wands, you have somebody carrying the laurel wreaths of battle, like they've won a battle. And when it's reversed, it's almost as if you're going in retreat. So put up the white flag of surrender almost.
It could also be saying, too, that, there's a lot of dramatic stuff happening on the world stage, on the political stage, on various stages. And sometimes it's a little bit too much to take. And so that retreat could really be just about that, too, that, sometimes it's necessary to really disconnect.
And that's another good statement you're making there, because we can take the cards off in a variety of different directions. There's so many meanings attached to the cards. I could sit there and try to cover all of the bases, and then we have this ginormous Facebook post, but that's not going to be very helpful. I tune into the energies I feel are important for that day. And that is not to say some days we might go more global or national, and related to items in the news as opposed to maybe things in your everyday life. It just depends what strikes us at the time.
And that reminds me, too, but if you look later or tomorrow on our YouTube channel, I'm hoping to upload a snippet from a live stream a couple weeks ago where we did some prognostication about the presidential thing that's happening in the USA next year. It's a big election for most Americans, and so check that out. It was kind of surprising to us.
Well, it is a little early yet, Mr.
It
O.
is definitely early, and you said as much.
But I did pull the card. We were doing my question deck reading where I pull a question at random, and the question was, who will be the next president? And I decided...
So just go there and check that out. We're not going to really talk about that a whole lot now. We want people to go to the channel and see it.
We do, but I decided to go with it, and so I did. And check it out, like he said, but remember that I do believe it's very preliminary and subject to massive change. So moving forward, Thursday, we had
the Hierophant upright. And what I said for this card, which is for today, is today's energies and atmosphere will seem a little stifling. That was very true for me at work today and maybe elsewhere. The mood of the day or the feeling that pushes forward is conformity. Oh my goodness, so much about the workplace. You may feel insulted that everyone is looking down on you for being a rebel. And that's true perhaps for some of us, because what the Hierophant really talks about, in my opinion, is that it's a conformity, or it's a sort of a adherence to standards, but it's just possible that maybe that is more of not an illusion so much, but of just an appearance that we are affecting. We are actually creating this illusion or glamour to get by, to not look like we're the rebel, because sometimes we are not rewarded for being too different. And so those energies today are telling us that you may feel that burden, that sort of sense of insulatedness and conformity. Just hold on to your true feelings inside and figure out what's your best way to express those.
Well, I was definitely on a similar tact with him on this card. I felt that, you might need a little bit more structure and order in your life. And oh my gosh, that was absolutely how my day felt today. I mean, I just put nose to the grindstone, threw on some headphones, tried to block out the world, and just get through what I had to get through today, because it was very difficult. And then I had some meetings that proved to be rather stifling as well. So I would just say that this card in particular really, really hit me hard today. So I also want to say and interject at this time, I think we're going to take a new little approach here, because we never know when people are going to drop in our chat. I am perfectly willing to drop what we're doing and do a reading anytime for people if they want to stop in and have a reading. We'll get back to our program after we're done with you. But just letting you know that in case you don't have time to stay for the whole live stream. Generally, we try to keep the last 10 minutes of each hour for readings, but we'll see how it goes. And if people drop by, we'll be happy to read for you.
Absolutely. So I guess we can move on to our next segment, unless we want to do a summation of all of this.
Oh, we have summed it up before, but no.
Yeah.
This was a very, I
Let's
felt
move
it was kind
on.
of a downer readings myself this week, and hopefully the days ahead will prove better.
The next few days have to be better.
And by the way, when we do these Tarot for Tomorrow readings, we're not using the same deck every time. So why we keep getting Major Arcana cards all the time, I don't know, but it just seems to be
Well,
the
we
way
talked
they're-
about that not here and not on the Facebook page. And I told you that I thought that maybe to some degree, because this is a little new for us, doing a reading for more of a collective audience. And perhaps the kind of energies involved are more coming from the major arcana, because those sort of talk to a little sense of larger than life kind of issues or situations. Whereas when you get into the minor arcana, you see a lot of things that are more about the nitty gritty everyday stuff. Oh, this thing happened, that thing happened. Major arcana cards are kind of overreaching to some degree, so their effects may be more important. And of course, we're reading for the most important person of all, you, our audience.
So are you saying we are intuitively or somehow making the cards that we need to read for a group appear?
That happens anytime you read the cards for anybody, because
Well, I mean,
the cards,
in terms of the major arcana cards being for a larger audience. So yeah.
well, I would just say that basically our subconscious and our intuitive abilities somehow know that the cards we need are the ones that we pull. Isn't it funny how that works?
Works for me.
And it works for me.
Okay. Well, you know what time it is, actually. Speaking of readings, it's time for my week ahead spread. I made that rhyme. See what I did there?
Yes. Okay, so you're going to probably need my deck for that, aren't you?
No, I actually brought out a deck for that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to use my Robin Wood deck, which is published by Llewellyn, and it's from 1991. I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to pull four cards for the days ahead. Hopefully they'll give you a plan for some of the different areas of your life, a plan for the days ahead till next week. Feel free to come back and watch our live stream video if and move to the point of the reading if you need a recap or a refresh.
Sunny wants to touch
Available on
the cards
YouTube
for good luck.
you. Pardon me?
Sunny wants to touch the cards
Sonny
for
wants
good
to
luck.
put his paw on the cards. There. Awesome, Sonny. Thank you for your mystical cat energy.
The feline forecaster.
Perhaps you'd like to oh, look at that. He did it again. That's awesome.
Just pick 3?
Well, pick 4. You're the pick 3. All right. You shuffle and then cut them.
That kind of woke you up, didn't it?
That woke me up. I wonder what it sounded like through the microphone. Pretty awesome. Or not.
And I'm ready to cut them now.
And I'm ready to pick them up. Okay. Well, Sunny's going to be a little in the way, but I'm going to lay them all out. But we'll pick them up one at a time to reveal to our audience. Okay. So our first card is for our well-being, both spiritual and mental, for the days ahead. And we have...
Can I show these?
Yeah, absolutely. Is it the Ten of Pentacles I see there?
It's the Ten of Pentacles.
Well, for
Upright.
mental, physical health, and well-being, I think this is a very positive card. It's a card of, it seems to me a lot of your health and well-being is going to revolve around your family a little bit and material matters, actually. Actually, it's more material matters than family. I'm sorry, I was thinking of the Ten of Cups there momentarily. It looks as though things are very solid for you.
Most of our audience is probably enjoying good health, or if they have any situations, they are supported by a family. Maybe it's their blood family, maybe it's an intentional family. So there's a sense here of comfort in those matters, or a sense that all is secure.
Definitely that all is secure. Isn't this also, I think that's why I was picking up the family vibes. It has to do with family money and inheritance and things of that nature. And if I look at it that way in the card of spiritual or mental, physical health and health and well-being, both mental, physical, spiritual, it says to me that you've inherited good health from your family, potentially.
Oh, that's a good way of
and
looking at it. Yeah.
also that, right now you're feeling it. You're feeling very strong.
I would agree with that.
Good time to start an exercise routine as well. Okay, so the next card for us is our career finances.
No, it's spiritual and mental.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know my reading.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well,
No problem. Career and finances is this next one. Possibly, your work environment.
and that's the reversed Two of Swords.
I wonder if some of us aren't considering making a move from their job. Don't you think that could...
Well,
that
I'm
could,
wondering if they already have made a move.
it's very possible.
And what they're finding, though, of course, is that it's just a little bit edgy for them. Like maybe they're feeling like they have some amount of vision of what they're doing here, but there's a little bit of insecurity. There's sort of like the awareness that there are some small stumbling blocks. It doesn't look major, but it looks like there's a few things that one has to make sure you have, pretty much tied up.
Well, so if you have made that move that he suggests, give it time. It takes time to find that balance again. The two is a card of balance, but it is reversed. So it's obviously showing you're trying to get your act together there on the job. But also, if you're thinking of making that move, this could be the time to do so. Maybe it's time to do some investigating at any rate. If not, make the outright move, just investigate.
Sounds good to me.
And the next card, our card 3, is family, personal, and interpersonal relationships. Sounds to me, this is the Five of Cups reversed. Thank you. Five of Cups reversed, and basically the Five of Cups reversed talks about maybe new relationships forming. Perhaps you are going to make some new friends, get involved in some new social activities, social circles. This is definitely the time to start new things.
I'm thinking that's what it's about too, pretty much. I'm thinking that there may have been a period where things were a little bit rifty, rocky with some relationships, but now maybe in particular you're actually also seeing that people who possibly you thought had left your life have made some overtures to come back, and that kind of gives you a sense of well-being and positivity, that not everyone holds a grudge forever, that kind of thing. And so if it was on your part or on the other part, it doesn't matter, because things have been resolved more or less, and so there is a coming together again suggested. This would especially be good if it is from the family, of course, because families should try to find their common ground and stick together in these times.
Absolutely. And if it is talking about your family relationships, it may be time to think outside the box, do something different, shake things up in the family world, take a trip, travel together, do something different that will bring you guys closer together. And okay, card card 4 is the main focus for the week ahead. And we have, I'll let you say it.
The Eight of Swords, which is reversed. The Eight of Swords reversed.
Yes. The Eight of Swords reversed is, interestingly enough, yes, it's another card of movement. Similar in a way to the Two of Swords, but different in that, you got to be a little bit cautious with the moves you do make this week. For example, if you are thinking of moving to a new job, be careful, and do your research, do your homework. Don't just jump into things just to get away from a bad situation. Really think about it, because sometimes with the eight, I think when I see the Eight of Swords reversed, and maybe you'll have a different opinion on this, I think of people who are stepping out from something that was restricting or holding them back, but they aren't necessarily looking before they leap in a way. They're not necessarily doing it with forethought.
Well, sometimes I sort of feel that's similar there, but I sort of feel that there's an externality about what happens once you're moving here that you cannot control, as opposed to just not being aware with the Two of Swords reversed of what the external is. It's sort of like not really seeing it, but more or less having a sense of preparation for it. Over here, it may be that despite being aware of it, these are actual stumbling blocks as you move forward that you will find. Freedom is a good thing, but sometimes total unrestricted freedom means you have to meter or monitor parts of your behavior too. You can't, just do everything all at once. You sort of have to find your stride and your pace. And so for this next time period ahead, that's what this card suggests to me is be cautious. You've just kind of came out a little bit. You came out from a restrictive situation, but just make sure, do some baby steps.
Baby steps. Okay, so to sum up, I would say this is a good, healthful, growthful time for you. Maybe a time to start a new exercise, or even, I don't know, maybe some kind of a new food regime. This also could be indicative of that being a nice, earthy, growthful sign. Perhaps you want to get into starting your own garden, do some gardening and whatnot. Maybe go to an orchard or garden and pick vegetables, get fresh fruits and vegetables in your life. The next card in your realm of the work and career is there's going to be movement of some sort, but sometimes it can be in the wrong direction. You have to think about what you're doing a little bit, but also just to remember that things may seem unbalanced and unstable for a while, and maybe you should work to bring some more stability around a situation before you give up on it. And then in your family and your interpersonal relationships, maybe it's time to start new friendships, relationships, join new social circles. Also to, I'll let you do yours after this if you want to go through the whole thing. Also do your with your family, you may want to take a trip, travel, do something that will bring you guys closer together. And then finally, the overview for the week is just be careful of the steps you take as far as any kind of important maneuvers go. I think especially relating to the work environment. I just have a feeling about that because of the Two of Swords there. So be very careful and watch what you're doing there.
Well, I don't have a whole lot to summate here. I do feel that maybe what you said about the garden is kind of interesting because a lot of families have gardens. My family used to have a garden, and every summer I was out there working in it. But I think that the Two of Swords and the Eight of Swords both do relate to the career aspects. This one because it fell in that position. This one because we're looking at the week ahead. And I see a relationship there. And like I said before, I sort of feel like there's a personal look at where you're going with that and feeling like you have some empowerment there to look ahead and try to realize some things. But don't be overeager, I guess is what the Eight is saying. But going back to the Five here and the family situation, I'm also thinking, in addition to what Banshee said, that maybe this is also talking about maybe somebody who had been missing or avoiding you in their life
Oh,
has sort of figured it out, and maybe you'll see some overtures of getting back together with that. Maybe somebody who's been away for a while returns too, and maybe, their uh, presence was missed and needed. So that's our
I hadn't thought of
Banshees
that.
group reading. I mentioned it vaguely when we were doing it, but yeah, I sort
Very
of get
good.
the sense of that there.
Well, I guess I just caught that now. Sorry, it's not that I wasn't paying attention, but the brain cells forgetful. So that was my reading for the week ahead, and feel free to let us know what you think of it next week. So we have a few more moments. So before we get into our segment of card readings, unless anybody now would like a reading from us,
Well, we're probably going to end up doing a few readings for ourselves, perhaps,
perhaps,
or readings for situations we're aware of.
perhaps.
Like right now, I suppose a lot of people. Oh, you have something?
Well, I thought I'd share something today. When you shuffle your cards, Mr. O, this is a question for you. Do you ever like say something, or how do you get your mind in tune for your reading?
How do I do that?
Yes.
I think what I do is similar to what I have people do when I'm having them relax and go into one of the meditations I might give. And that is that I do try to just focus on nothing and just sort of attune my breathing. And maybe I think vaguely of just the concept of the cards and wanting to know what the future is. If I am reading with a specific question, I usually will focus on that question.
Okay.
But for more general things, I try to just clear my mind and let spirit take over.
Well, now let me ask you this. Let's say you were reading for someone else and they were shuffling the cards. Okay, let's say they were shuffling the cards, so it's a person to person reading. Do you think or do anything while they are shuffling the cards?
Myself, I mostly just monitor them, and I may ask them if they're relaxing or if they need to focus on the question or if they just need to focus on their breathing. So once again, it depends on whether it's a specific reading or if it's a general reading. Specific questions, I should always try to guide them. But for myself, I'm not doing anything other than monitoring them and sort of feeling the energy of our sitting.
Okay.
And I do that with a client sitting across from me, or even in these situations here, I try to give myself an attunement towards the audience.
The reason I ask is because I have a number of these actually, and I wish I could find my other ones, but today I had some time on my lunch break where I was doing some creative writing, and I just thought to myself, I should create another chant that I can say to myself while I'm shuffling my cards and doing readings for people. Or if I'm reading for somebody else and they're shuffling the cards, I can focus on these words while they are shuffling the cards. So sometimes, like for example, when we're doing the reading for the week ahead or we're doing the daily reading, I am trying to focus my mind on what's going to happen tomorrow or what's going to happen in the week ahead. So that's really my focus. But if I'm reading for somebody who's distant from me and I'm not sure what they might be thinking about or what their question is, or they're shuffling the cards and I'm just sitting here, I usually think of a chant or something to say to kind of empower the cards as they're shuffling. And so I came up with one today, actually, and I'll share it with our audience now.
First, I've never heard of such a thing.
For real? Of
No,
course
it's
you
not
have. You jest with me, I'm sure. So anyway, this is what I came up with today. So while people are shuffling, well, if I'm shuffling for myself, I have the last line could be said two different ways. So if I'm shuffling for myself, here's how it would go. Tarot cards, please reveal to me what my eyes alone fail to see. Reveal now what I need to know in order to expand and grow. And if I was reading for somebody else, that last line would be to help others expand and grow. What do you think?
I like that. So
It just kind of popped into the old noggin today.
I want you to chant that while I shuffle the cards.
Tarot cards, please
Well, wait a
reveal
minute.
to we.
Okay, you can do it that way too. But I'm
I
going
could.
to, there's an
Uh-oh.
event happening that I really want to get a reading on. It's not political. Sorry, I didn't.
Is
mean
it
to say that.
national or something else?
It's global.
Okay, because we do have a fantasy forecast later, but if you want...
Well, I was going to just ask in general about the forest fire in Brazil.
Oh, I
Do you think I should wait for
yeah,
that?
no, because we're going to pick a card at random for that. So if
Yeah.
you'd like to do it
Yeah.
now, you're getting an extra fantasy forecast
And
today.
so it's not really a fantasy.
It's too real.
It's fiery.
Actually.
It's not fantasy.
A
It's
fiery
fiery.
forecast. Oh man.
So
what
my
is your question?
basic question is, will this end soon?
The forest fires?
The forest fires in Brazil.
Are you doing a yes/no question?
Yes,
then?
I'm going to do a yes or no. So I want you to say the chant while I
Tarot
think of that
cards,
question.
please reveal to we what my eyes alone fail to see. Reveal now what I need to know in order to expand and grow. Tarot cards, please reveal to we what our eyes alone fail to see. Reveal now what we need to know in order to expand and grow. Tarot cards, please reveal to we what our eyes alone fail to see. Reveal now what we need to know so that we can expand and grow.
And I asked the yes or no question, will the forest fires in the Amazon and Brazil areas end soon? And so this is the 3-ace method of yes or no's, where I turn over cards until I either hit the number 13 or an ace, whichever's first. So in my first pile, I hit 13, and we did not get an ace, but we got the Page of Swords. So pile 2. And on the second card, I got my ace, the Ace of Swords. So I can now move to pile 3 and start over again.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Banshee says, ooh.
Oberon says, ooh. So my third and final card, the 13th card on the third pile, is Judgment. Upright. So now I'm going to give you my synopsis here, or my reading here, and then of course Banshee will give her
I will
feelings
chime
over it.
in, as always.
I wanted to make a joke about how your face rings a bell, not a chime.
Where is your chime today? Oh, that's right. You're
We're
not
not
doing
doing
a
a
meditation.
Okay, so we only got one ace, which means we only have a 1 out of 3 chance of the answer being yes. And the question I ask is, will this forest fire end soon? So it does not look likely, which is a really sad thing here. Of course, everybody would like it to end very soon. But my cards are saying maybe it won't. There's a Page of Swords, which to me signifies grace and diplomacy. And so I'm going to say that this card seems to relate to the idea of folks who are willing to try to meter out this situation, to try to bring reason to the situation, balance. It may not be enough in this situation, but they're trying to be the most diplomatic, graceful, tactful voices that are out there. In general, this Page of Swords has an element of being verbally articulate and able to present ideas. So we need this kind of person or this kind of energy around a number of people to be able to articulate these things, why it's important, why we have to work together. The ace itself is merely the gauge of the amount of yes I have in my reading, and it's the Ace of Swords, which is always about an undertaking, and of course trying to correct this wrong is quite the undertaking. But my final card, which we both said, ooh, was the Judgment card upright. And the Judgment card seems to indicate that there's an emphasis on more lofty matters. There's an emphasis on whether or not spiritual matters can be ascendant in the situation, that maybe this is truly the time to pray or to really think about where we need to take this to really solve this kind of a problem, and that we need to move to a higher power, whether that higher power is a god or goddess or gods that we worship or that we appeal to, or whether the higher power is within ourselves, or whether the higher power is the government that should be working with us or should be working with the people of Brazil. And so these are the kind of things that need to happen, is that perhaps somebody with diplomacy and grace and tact needs to speak truth to that power, that higher power, whatever it is working for us, and try to get all hands on deck to resolve this problem. Banshee?
Well, Mr. O, you are certainly playing with fire with this one, really. So the Page of Swords to me is showing that I feel that beyond diplomacy, it seems to me we need somebody to go in there and help. I think that, they need to ask for help if they haven't. Somebody needs to rush in. There needs to be hasty news and messages that go to the leaders of Brazil saying, do you need assistance? Do you need our help? And governments offering help and assistance, which is sorely needed here. And the Judgment card, well, it's kind of like a reckoning is coming. And it also says, well, Judgment upright is better than reversed. However, it is a card cautioning that what we sow, we will reap. And so, we have put ourselves in a very difficult situation with the climate, not managing the climate and the earth properly, possibly even the rainforests. There's been a lot of deforestation going on in the rainforests anyway, which has been very harmful. And now we've got, deforestation by wildfire, and this could have serious, severe implications for us all. And we, as a world and as a people, as if it was, the final judgment, need to come together to solve this crisis. And it is a crisis. It is not just another forest fire.
Well, I tried to be a little bit more lofty-minded, but I think Banshee kind of goes to the heart of the matter here and reveals on that level of the physical what's going on.
Well, one could argue it's a no, and there are positive cards, so there is hope in that if people can pull themselves together and do what it takes to try to solve this, yes. But on the other hand, these are also very harsh cards in their own way. Swords are cutting. They're cutting cards. And also Judgment is what it is. It's like, it's your karma, and it's our collective karma here at work. And so there's a lot of heaviness in this reading, I feel. That's why I went the route I did.
I agree with you in a way, but I also think you have to remember that Judgment is really about an awakening. It may not always be a spiritual awakening.
Well, it is going to be awakening.
It's an awakening. This is like oh my gosh, we have been asleep for way too long to let this stuff happen. The question is whether or not our woke nature will allow us to affect change.
And remember, what we're saying here is it wasn't a definite no, number one. It's leaning towards no. So the bottom line is there is room for change here. There is room for possible fixing this.
Alrighty.
Well, I want to say I'm glad you asked that question, but I'm not sure. Just because it's such a, it's tough.
Is this the part where somebody says, Conrad, I'm glad you asked that question.
And half the world won't know who Comrade is.
Mr. Belvedere.
Right, who's known locally.
Yes.
I wonder if they know him in Brazil or Spain or England.
Mr. Belvedere was a local businessman who had a way about him, and he would often interface with the TV host show he was on, and then one particular one, Conrad would ask a question. He would say, Conrad, I'm glad you asked that question. So I hope you are glad that I did that question. If you have any other questions of your own, you can always drop us a line here now. You can also go to our TFT Tarot for Today Facebook page, and there's an inbox there. You can leave us a message there. We have the Gmail address. What is that?
Oh, it's TFT Tarot for Today at
One word.
gmail.com. We
And
try
you
to
can
keep it simple.
write us questions there too. If we don't have the questions live, we can always come back to the questions later. In fact, we've already had a couple of questions in our inbox from one of our fans out there. I won't say who, and hopefully we were able to help them. So we can help you too.
So actually, we are.
Oh,
What? You dropped something again?
I dropped something again. And I wasn't really doing any particular kind of reading, just vagary, but I dropped the Queen of Wands, and she was upright to me. And to me, maybe that's just saying that somebody may be thinking about
Getting a reading?
getting a reading.
Because now is the time. Now
Don't
is
let
the
that little
time.
black cat throw you off. We have a black cat of our own.
Yes, who may appear back up here if Sunny ever relinquishes the stage. I have a feeling Sunny's going to be our tarot cat, though. Just a feeling.
Yes, Shadow was immortalized in the piece that we use at the end of our broadcast, where she just stares into the camera and then she looks at Banshee reading cards. She may show up again. Sassy's good for yawning at what we do.
Right. Sassy was the star before and did that awesome yawn during one of your, well, how should I say, obtuse thoughts.
It was the meditation.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't. You're right.
No, it wasn't. Actually, Sunny
It was
meowed
lofty,
during your meditation.
lofty meandering that that Sassy said. "Ah."
Well, if nobody has any readings, I can just sit here and pet Sunny the whole time, which is fine by me. He's in a Zen mood right now.
Well, let's ask a question for somebody we know, maybe, or about something. Well, I mean, we don't have to go into real personal areas, but we could say, like, is our granddaughter going to have a good year at school once she goes back?
Oh, that's right. She's going to be in the 8th grade.
How about if you shuffle?
And by the
figure
way,
out-
our granddaughter drew our wonderful avatar for us that you notice on our pages.
It's the excited
That is
looking
her
cat
work.
holding the moon card.
Yeah, she did a fantastic job. She's amazing. Thanks to her.
And we wish her well as she starts the 8th grade. We're very proud of her because she was accepted into algebra, and a lot of other kids in her class were not. Only 2 or 3 others, I think, several others. So she's as smart as a whip, as they say.
This is shameless grandparent, promoting their granddaughter time. You have to deal with it. All right, I'm gonna cut them.
Okay, so do we want to do a yes or no, or do we just want to do pull cards and see what that tells us?
Let's pull cards and see what they tell
That's
us.
kind of what I was thinking. I was going to go with my sort of 3-card one. So the basic question we asked was, how well is our granddaughter, what's her school year going to be like? Is she going to be successful in school this year? And so the general card I pulled, first one that represents her, in the situation is the Two of Pentacles, and this says that there's a lot going on with her right now. There's a lot of things to balance, and she's moving into her teenage years now. She'll be 14 in less than half a year, and she's dealing with all kinds of different things, new things that maybe she didn't deal with a couple years ago. So I'm going to say that from the emotional level, there's a little bit of upendedness. It's not crucial. It's just sort of a balancing thing.
Well, I just want to tell her, if she's listening, to please be ready. It seems like maybe you're not preparing yourself for the back to school. You're not quite in the back to school mood yet. And you got to get yourself oriented and ready for a full year. Eighth grade is not going to be a cakewalk. It's going to be more harder stuff.
I didn't like 8th grade.
I had a pretty good 8th grade, actually. I can't complain. My 8th grade went really well.
My 7th grade was better, and my 9th grade was better.
I was on a couple of sports teams. I was the secret weapon on our basketball team. Well, that was pretty bad, actually.
The secret weapon?
The secret weapon.
Where actually it was about being abused?
No. What?
Exploited?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I was a secret weapon, meaning that they would only put me in when they had a comfortable lead. Because basketball, this white girl can't jump.
Too competitive.
She never could. And so basketball never ended up being my number one sport. But I had a great time. It was fun, and went on a class trip, which was awesome. So I can't complain.
Okay, our next card
Yes.
is the reversed Ace of Swords. This doesn't look really great. It sort of says, since I put it into her school situation, that there's a sense that maybe sometimes she takes too long to apply herself, that she just doesn't always know how to press the issue, like with a sword, So hopefully that clears up.
Well, I would caution her instead to be careful and mindful that, maybe you think you're going to ace that test or whatever, but it's showing again that, it's not going to
Preparation.
Without preparation, you're not going to get there. So you really are going to have to do the work, and don't just think you know the subject. You're going to have to do the work to succeed.
She needs to work on being prepared, and that maybe one of her situations is that sometimes she doesn't do that sense of working for preparation. And her final
Well, that is an awesome way to end
An awesome
it.
card is the Queen of Pentacles. And this is kind of an interesting card because I think what it is it's kind of like some people are naturals in a certain way. This is a natural card. This is a person who has abilities that are just natural, that they just touch something and it flourishes. And I love to think that about my granddaughter because she is very creative, as we have been trying to tell. So I'm thinking that, of course, this is what that balance is between the two things, is that she sort of has up until now relied on her natural ability to just sort of make it happen. But 8th grade is a little bit different, and I can talk about that. And so the thing is that she will really have to learn about follow through and application to process.
Well, I'm going to just say right here and now, this looks like a happy graduate to me, the Queen of Pentacles.
Sure. She is going to make it. It's just going to be more like naturally rather than, I won't say lucky, because I don't think it's luck that informs her. But it'll seem that way because it'll seem like she had just been not really applying herself, but she still gets the results. And so maybe the sense is that maybe it's possible that we don't understand the way her brain works. And that
I'm going to make a interruption here because I never finished. So Mr. O is
you're finished.
Mr.
You're
O
finished.
is very excited when talking about our granddaughter, obviously. But if you notice here, Mr. O, I will bring to your attention that what we have here is pentacles and a sword. And don't you think these are expressing the more logical, analytical components of the brain and the mind? Once again, this is going to be a good year for her, excelling in math and possibly the sciences. I think these are going to be her strong points. And also that, she has a very logical nature. So this is gonna
For a
work to
Pisces, that's kind of interesting.
yeah, that is. It's going to work to her advantage this year, I believe. She's just got to buckle down and apply herself a little.
Well, I sort of feel a sense of difference between us a little bit. Like we sort of agree, but there's a few points that we don't exactly agree.
Oh, what else is new?
Indeed. So I'm going to
That's
pull
why we're here together.
one more card to see if that gives us a little sense of resolution here, or at least says that I'm the one that's right.
Oh my gosh.
Oh dear.
And we had such a perfect card to end with. So now
No, this is the perfect card to end with. She's going to get a serious relationship going on. The Two of Cups upright. Maybe the serious relationship, though, will be with her education. There you go.
A match made in heaven. No, it is a relationship card, but that could mean a lot of different things here. Maybe she'll have a good, strong relationship with a teacher who will...
It is about harmony.
Right. Will help guide her through the year. Maybe it's also could be about just a harmony, between her personal life and her school life. She'll achieve more of a harmonic and emotional stability and balance that will carry her towards success.
The other thing is that we have two twos.
Yes.
And they are literally head to head in the way that I've read them. So they're sort of like, to me, coupled, and maybe that says that neither is truly reversed or upright because it's a dance between them, and so they take turns on that ascendancy thing. So I'm thinking this is just a good sign in general that although there are some balance issues, there is clearly a harmony and a devotion at the heart level towards something. And I think that she feels that way about some aspects of her education. There are certainly some things she's not very crazy about. But I think from what I've heard her talking about the algebra, I know she's kind of a little geeked about getting into that.
Oh, yeah.
Showing off her big brain.
Well, good for her. Because Grandma, no mathematician here.
You have the big head, but you don't have the big brain.
That's a good one. Yeah, no.
You're my little
I don't have a
pumpkin
brain
head.
for mathematics. For words, yes. For tarot, yes. For intuition, yes. Mathematics, never. Sad to say. So she did not inherit that gene from Grandma, but
That's probably for
You're
me.
pretty
I'm
good at
considerably
math,
better at
actually.
math than
Yeah.
you are.
it's true.
So, anything else we want to say about that? Because
No,
we
I
have
think we're
pretty
done.
much cleared out our first hour.
We're done with our first hour, and if you're just joining us now, welcome.
Right.
And
We're here for another hour till 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So we have a few segments to go through, but there'll be time for more readings.
there'll be time for readings
Just join us and
anytime you
ask.
want them. Ignore the man behind the screen.
Just join us and ask.
Just ask at any time, and we can cut to the chase and get the readings done and get back to our program. We're easy. We're easy that way. So basically, we started a journey with the court cards a Thursday ago called The Tarot Court Takes a Trip. And it's basically the court cards taking a journey around the major arcana, the journey of the Fool. And we decided to take the pages as a group and run them through each of the cards along the journey of the Fool. Now we did the first 7 cards of the major arcana last time, so we're going to be starting with number 8 this time. And we just thought it took a long time to do 7 cards and with all 4 of the pages.
And it's important to point out at this point that the pages are sort of the surrogate for the Fool themselves. but each of them represent personality traits or types that we may find in general with most people, and that maybe most people might be able to identify with one or maybe more of the pages.
Right. And so, and they all respond differently. And so, what we're trying to show here is some of the personality and characteristics of the court cards because they're very hard to read in the tarot. A lot of people have problems with them. And so, we just thought this little exercise would be a fun dialogue between us and that maybe you'd get something out of it as well.
A part of where this discussion comes from also too is in the initial sense of trying to teach people how to relate to their tarot cards, how to read their cards. It is a good exercise to work through the major arcana and notate and absorb what the particular card's meanings are.
Okay, so I'm putting down the Page of Wands, Cups, Swords, and Pentacles. And they're going to journey now to the Strength card.
So first we're going to take the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands is an individual whose personality is usually that of a person who maybe plays the role of a messenger, somebody who feels it's important to share communication. Maybe they're a friend or they're a friendly type of person. They're a person who maybe makes friends easily and is interested in your projects, your growth, your things like that. So this is kind of like that kind of personality.
And the Page of Wands to me is somebody who is full of ideas and energy, maybe perhaps at times a little bit over enthusiastic, and maybe perhaps at times just a little bit, how should I say this? They don't, they're so full of energy, they don't want to take their time to really absorb things. So in other words, they may not be the best of students at times.
They may be more impulsive and want to move on to new things. So how do they handle their meeting with strength? Well, strength is the card of understanding. Are you sure we didn't do strength last time?
Positive.
Okay. Strength is the card of understanding situations and struggles, but maybe understanding them from the point of view of what and how do you apply your energy to that? Do you try to force things to happen, or do you try to understand them and use compassion or understanding to resolve a problem or a situation? So the Page of Wands, I think when he goes there, he's thinking that he's showing something, and he's possibly not really interested in that message because he feels he already knows that message, or that he feels he can embroider upon that message. He may be thinking that he's more neutral in there and that he doesn't really need to decide about using force or using love as the two contrasts there.
Well, I sort of feel as though the Page of Wands really could take the heart the message of strength, but really kind of leans towards, like you said, the force of
Love,
no.
compassion,
Well, not so much compassion.
understanding.
No. Strength is about, I thought, the force of will or the force of compassion, right? It's a little of both. So I tend to think that he can be, it's true, he can be a bit overbearing at times. That's true. He can be a bit overbearing at times. And maybe, now that I'm thinking about it, could throw a little bit of the compassion to the wind. He just wants to get to where he wants to be. And doesn't really take the time to look out for his partners on the journey.
Which is kind of like being the messenger. I've done my job. I've delivered my message, you know.
Whereas on the other hand, the Page of Cups, who's a little bit more of an emotional sort, could really, well, on the one hand, he could be very compassionate and he could be very, altruistic. That's the word I was looking for, towards others. And then on the other hand, that could also mean that he can wallow in it too, He can take it too much to heart and be a little bit too cloying and maybe too compassionate. You know what I mean?
Sounds like a Pisces, eh? See that cup coming
See
out
that
with
fish,
the fish?
coming out of the cup.
Now,
Yes.
to me, the Page of Cups also most likely has a greater ability or a greater resonating quality towards the message of strength, because the Page of Cups is more about a poetical mysticism, a philosophical way of looking at life that's a little bit lofty in a way, but also informed by mystical, poetic, emotional perceptions even. And so they're more attuned perhaps to get at least that one half of the strength message, applying understanding or compassion to resolving problems. They may not be as well as understanding the other side of the message, but that's what strength really is about, though, to me, is really finding non-forceful ways to resolve problems.
The Page of Swords, on the other hand, is a pretty analytical sort of character here, and maybe overanalyzes things as opposed to, maybe using the head more than the heart in matters, and therefore isn't, playing. I mean, he plays nice, but not exactly. Do you know what I mean? I think he's going to have problems here.
Well, I think that the Page of Swords wants to be fair and wants to be diplomatic with strength, but I think that maybe they're not really sure yet what they think of the message, that maybe they're waiting to see where the message really goes, that they're just sort of keyed and poised to analyze, because it's the airy, somewhat intellectual aspect there. But I'm not so sure that they're willing to necessarily decide one way or the other. They're sort of there more as an observer, perhaps. Thank you, Sunny.
Sunny has taken over. Sunny has now sat on our cards. Well, the Page of Pentacles, on the other hand, I'm not going to say that he's looking to gain something out of this situation, but he wants to be able to grow from the experience. He's hoping that the compassion and the concern that he exhibits and shows in situations will provide something for him, will nourish him in some way.
Well, I'm a little distracted here because I'm not sure what Sonny wants. He's over here in my area, and I'm afraid he's either going to jump onto the table and knock over a camera or something. So I'm not...
Keep your eye on it.
Okay. To me, the Page of Pentacles represents
here,
more
Sonny.
of the student kind of personality, a scholar, somebody who basically is goal-oriented in a way, that they really want to get the goal done. But part of that is the journey, too, that the journey of reaching that is very important, too. So it's a little bit of both there for me. And then the other thing about the Page of Pentacles is that because it has these scholarly student aspects, this person is very keen to want to understand the message of strength and possibly decide where it fits in their life. But to some degree, they're still maybe slightly dispassionate, like the Page of Swords might have been, or maybe it was the Page of Wands, because they're just seeing this as a goal and they're not necessarily doing it.
Right. That's a good way of putting it. And I'm sorry I laughed, but Sonny gave us a full butt shot in the camera. It's like, really, Sonny? Man, tell you. So anyway, that was kind of amusing. Let's move on. Let's move on to Hermie. The Hermit card. As I try to get the cards out from under Sonny. There we are.
Okay, so now...
So we don't have to put I don't think we need to show these again. We'll start with the Page of Wands again, though.
So now the pages are going to run along the road, the royal path, the royal road, and they're going to run into the Hermit.
The light bearer of sorts, and bearer of knowledge and wisdom. And I would say the Page of Wands comes along, and he's listening, and gets bored pretty quickly, because it's like, I have so many things I could be doing other than this. His mind is just flying a mile a minute, and that's how I see.
All of the pages are youthful, so they represent a sense of youth, and there are qualities that probably share between them, which is that there's a curiosity, but there's also possibly an indifference to working in a prescribed manner, that maybe they like to jump to conclusions, or they like to push themselves more impulsively into situations. And so the Page of Wands, when he meets the Hermit, perhaps he feels like, oh, I have a message too, because the Hermit sort of has a message for us.
Interesting.
The Hermit may be showing that message, or may decide that the message won't fall on the correct ears. And so maybe this is more of a dual thing here, where the Page of Wands says, I have a message too, but the Hermit says, do you really?
Well, the Hermit is somebody who's, I think, more than a message, is somebody who's really trying to impart wisdom. It's just not a message, it's wisdom and knowledge. And I would say one thing about the page on the positive end of things, the Page of Wands, that maybe what he's absorbing the message, but he's taking it in and he's already refashioning it to the way he wants to work with the wisdom. In other words, he's changing it and morphing it and making it something new, because that's what he does. He's very growthful and he's very inventive and creative.
That sounds right to me too.
So then enters the Page of Cups.
And the Page of Cups is a much more mystically inclined personality of the pages, and philosophical and poetic. So this is a natural meeting between the two. The Page of Cups could say, maybe I'm going to hang out for here a while, and I'm not going to really walk down the road with the rest of you guys, because I really am digging on the message here. I don't know that the page would really do that, but this is kind of speaks strongly to what the page feels about life in general. The page may feel that the Hermit has much that they can learn from.
Sorry, Sonny wanted to wrestle. Yes, the Page of Cups. The Page of Cups will do well with the Hermit's message, especially if the Hermit is imparting esoteric, philosophical knowledge, which I believe he would be. He wouldn't be the Hermit otherwise. And he will take that lesson and absorb it well. And he will use it to be more compassionate and possibly even more poetic, and maybe use it in some of his songs and the art that he creates. Or literature. Actually, I see him as more the poet type, like you say, the writer.
Well, I suppose it could be more broadly applied to the arts in general. So now we're going to move to the Page of Swords. It's his turn to stand before the Hermit. And the Page of Swords, when he does that, what does he see? Well, he probably feels that maybe some of that message is already in tune with him, and that maybe he would just sort of chill there and sort of say, yeah, I got your back. I'm balanced here. I agree with your message. He's the tactful person. So even if there was some sense of a disagreement, he probably wouldn't say that. But in general, I think the Page of Swords, his visit with the Hermit is more perfunctional in a way. It's more like just sort of saying, yo, and kind of just chilling there. He doesn't really get necessarily a lot from his interaction. He's more about maybe observing.
Well, I liked what you said about balance there. I feel that he will be looking at the wisdom that the Hermit is giving him and trying to find out how it fits for him, how to make it fit in his life and his perception of reality and what's going on in his life. That's what I think. He's going to be very analytical in his approach to this wisdom and knowledge, and try to make it fit in his life, not try to expand, like go beyond it and say, how can this transform me? No, but how does this fit with what I'm doing now?
And I also think too that because there's the balance aspect and the tactfulness thing there too, that he may not totally agree with what he's learning or interchanging with the hermit, but he would never say anything about that. He would just sort of absorb it and decide, I'll test this out later and see how it works, and then I'll modify or come up with something different.
Okay.
So now
One
we
more.
move to the Page of Pentacles.
Can I start that one?
Yes, I would like you to.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad. I had a thought about the the Page of Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles is somebody who is going to take the messages from the Hermit and really, really look for the scientific basis behind it. I think he's kind of going to analyze and look for really, what is this all about? There's got to be a way to make this more down to earth, the knowledge down to earth for him. So, in other words, it may be out there in the clouds thinking that the hermit's throwing at him some real philosophical mumbo jumbo, the pentacle might say, and how can I translate this into more earthly terms?
That's good, because this page is about practicality. Pentacles always sort of have a sense of more of a physical attunement or a resonation there. Even when they are abstractly showing us something, it still is kind of grounded in the nuts and bolts of the world to some degree. And so that's what the page does here, is that he's looking at the hermit as a goal to understand that knowledge and to put it into a cohesive form. And like any good student,
And he is a good student. Out of all of these, he's probably the best student.
he's the best student. And when we think about students, a big part of what their motivation is to excel and to get good marks. And so his motivation is really clear, is that he wants to learn as much as possible and to learn how it's applied, because he wants to be the best at that.
Absolutely. Finally, we are bowed down to our last card for today, the Wheel of Fortune.
So we're only doing 3?
Yes.
Okay. We did 7 before, though.
We did.
Okay. I didn't know we were having a format change right in the middle of the show. I'm
Well, I think I think we had a discussion about it maybe being too many cards for the whole crew to go through at once. We were taking too long with it.
good. Too many cards.
Oh man, don't mix. Now see, that's what happened last time, and then my cards got mixed up with yours.
No, they're not going to get mixed up.
Yeah,
with
you
yours.
just took a page away. You took the Page of Pentacles.
I want 2.
Put him down. Thank you.
That Banshee always interfering. I'll have to talk to the producer.
The producer's going to have a chat with you, I think. But I digress. So the Wheel of Fortune is a card of fate, destiny. It's also a card of chance.
Understanding the cycles of time.
Understanding the cycles of time and the seasons. Yes.
What goes up must come down. When you can ride the cycle. When you should prepare
Go
for...
with the flow.
Go with the flow.
And so here we have the impetuous Page of Wands. He wants to just get going. He wants to keep moving, and he wants to always be on the up and up. And these are going to be some hard lessons, I think, for our Page of Wands. He has to learn that there's a time and a season for everything. To everything, there is a purpose.
Well, sometimes I have a hard time totally understanding what his personality should be. Like, I sort of feel these other ones, their personalities are a little bit more clear to me, because I often get tripped up with the fact that mostly he just seems to be a messenger or somebody who communicates.
Well, all the pages are messengers. They have that quality about them. So I see that about him. But remember, he's got the wand of growth there. And I think he's somebody who is incredibly enthusiastic. One of his hallmarks is his enthusiasm, his willingness to be raring to go. And in other words, so as a messenger, he's just so ready to spread that news. He wants to get it out there. So more so, I feel, than the other pages.
So when he comes to the Wheel of Fortune, then what he's learning there is, or how does he interact then? Because he's just, is he
Well, as
saying
I've
that?
said, he has some hard lessons to learn here because everything has a time and season, and he's kind of living in the now. He wants things done now. And so he doesn't, those lessons of time will trip him up sometimes, I think. I think he's going to have some difficulties here.
So the thing about his corollary page, the Page of Cups, is almost the opposite in a way, because the Page of Cups is much more able to relate to that message, because he has a sense of mysticism and philosophy about him. So the Page of Cups may approach it as a messenger of sorts too, but he's really there to take that in a different way than the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands wants to bring something to the Wheel of Fortune, perhaps his understanding, his values, his needs. The Page of Cups is different. He sort of wants to meld his understandings with the Wheel of Fortune to some degree. Let the waters stir and then settle. No?
Sonny, don't shake the table. Look at the Page of Cups is water. Notice the flowing, ebb and flowing water on that card.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Page of Cups is most likely to really navigate well the cycles that the wheel is talking about and the messages that the wheel has for him. So basically, the one problem I do see with the Page of Cups, though, is he can be emotional, and I think, in his more negative aspects, he can be really down in the dumps. And so some of the downturns of the wheel, he could wallow a bit in depression and get caught up in those moments. But I think more than the other ones, he's the most likely to be able to take this message and run and go forward with it. He'll be able to navigate the ups and downs that life gives us a little bit better than some of the other pages.
The Wheel of Fortune is itself a more mystical content kind of card, so that's where their rapport really seems to shine. Now moving to the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords, once again, brings a different quality rather than that mystical longing or feeling of wanting to swirl in there with that. It's more like observation, I think, and maybe figuring out how exactly. It's more of a strategic thing. Like maybe they're looking at the Wheel of Fortune and they're saying, how can I strategize the movement of the wheel? How can I determine when the wheel is spinning the right way for me?
Awesome. It's kind of like, how can I take these cycles and use them to my advantage? He's looking for the vantage point. And I think that was very good what you said there. I don't even have much to add to that, actually, because that's about it.
Well, that's good, because you kind of did that for me with this one, and I was sort of floundering there. So,
Teamwork.
So,
well, the Page of, this is kind of a practical sort of character here, very down to earth. And I sense that he could get caught up in the... He's a little bit more slow to react, I feel, than... Oh, do we have another cat visiting? Almost. The Page of Pentacles is slow to react, more so than the other pages, so he might get caught unawares by some of the turnings of the wheel. Sometimes things happen, sudden events happen, and he may, I feel, be a little bit the least prepared for that than the other pages. How would you feel about that?
That's an interesting thought, because I actually thought before that maybe that was the Page of Wands. But with the Page of Pentacles, I guess that's what I see too, is that once again, they possibly want to approach things as more of their semi-dispassionate observance and perseverance for the sake of knowledge.
Yeah.
And so, therefore,
Okay.
they have maybe a little bit more of an abstract, is that what you're saying, an abstract relationship with the Wheel of Fortune?
Well, I'm not sure that. I do feel that, he may not be prepared for some of life's unexpected occurrences, but he will learn from them once they've happened because he is a student, a very good student, so he'll be a good student of life as well. Well, Mr. Sunman is left. We're trying to coax our other cat into the picture. I
She's
don't
like,
know if
you're
she'll
going to
come.
yell at me if I yawn again. No, I won't yell at you. I just have to try not to say such boring
Would you come
things.
so I can pet you?
Come here, Sass.
Yum, yum.
And while we try to negotiate with Sassy's appearance, we believe we have concluded this segment.
Actually, we have.
Okay.
And so part of the purpose of this segment, too, is once our audience enlarges and we have a bigger chat, we want you to chime in and give us your thoughts on how you see these cards approaching the archetypes that are represented on the major, on the Fool's Journey, the major arcana archetypes.
You've seen the cluster cluck that can happen between me and her trying to relate to these messages.
Well,
why not make the brew a little crazier by giving us your opinions too?
I will say this is a grand experiment.
We'll bounce off of anything.
I really, just thought of this spur of the moment that it would be a great activity and exercise to do. And actually it is, but
So it's your fault.
It is my fault. It is my fault. I'm sorry for it. Okay, shall we move on?
Shall we?
have time now for a fantasy forecast. Which, want to use my Robin Wood deck again here?
Yeah, why not?
Well, last time I think we did this, correct me if I'm wrong.
Let's explain the process.
Yeah. We took the cards and we made a big pile, and then we picked a card out to see if we could. Some of my cards are
Just the
messed
ones
up
that we
here.
used.
Oh, the ones we used? Okay. Got them. We put them in a pile and we spread them out, and then we picked one to determine a reading we would do either for something in the news, something from history, maybe a person, a personality, a celebrity.
But as we grow here, we would like you to feel free to ask us a fantasy forecast question too.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's always been interesting you to find out, what if Helen of Troy wasn't really the most beautiful woman in the world? What if she was just an utter hag? Would the Trojan War have happened?
Well, now that sounds like a what if question as opposed to but it's a fantasy forecast. Okay, we'll take it. We'll take it. Do you want to? I think you pulled the card last time, so I am going to pull.
Wait, I want to swirl.
What? Oh,
I get to have my hands on them
Get
too.
your energies in there, Mr. O.
I feel it. I feel it.
And here's one.
Ah!
The Chariot. Well, the Chariot could be about some interesting things. It could be about cars.
Ford
Ford.
Motor Company and what's going on right now with them.
Oh, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. That's an
Okay.
idea, but okay. It could be about cars. It could be about
Undertakings,
undertakings. It could be about
struggles.
struggles. Could it be about victory as well? Not exactly.
It could,
It's
or
really
it could
the
be
drive
more
to
the
victory.
path towards that
The path
ambition.
towards victory or
Talks about ambition.
Okay, so let's talk about Ford Motor Company. They have a transmission problem, don't they?
Well, I'm referring to their topicalness in the news about the emissions things and how somebody wants them to do more polluting things, and various other states are trying to keep the standards. See, the standards for emissions
Yes,
are being
I'm aware.
scrapped. Yes. So that's why I'm thinking of Ford, not because of the transmission
Well,
thing
what
for
would
that
your
one car.
question be surrounding that? Because I'm confused. Is it about Ford or is it about the issue itself?
Well, it's about whether or not Ford will decide to do that, or if they will,
and why Ford? Shouldn't you just say the auto companies?
Okay, we could say
because
that,
this
but-
isn't just Ford. It affects all the auto companies.
True,
Some
but they
of
were the
auto-
ones that were being talked about in this story.
some of the auto companies were saying that they weren't necessarily going to lower or lower their emission standards. So how do you want to couch this question? Is this going to be a yes, no? Is this going to be a...
Will a favorable agreement happen in terms of the auto industries working to keep or have new emission standards?
Okay, that's a little labored, so I'm going to try to simplify it. So will the auto companies have...
lower emission standards or maintain them?
Okay, I like that. How about we do a decision spread for this one?
Okay.
So in other words, we'll have a card about lowering the standards, not lowering the standards, and then the card that will be kind of like the outcome. Okay. I'll let you shuffle. Oh, we left the chariot out though. Should we have put it back in? That was a very bad.
Not necessarily.
Always make sure you have a full deck, mentally and with your cards if you're shuffling them. Oh. Sassy will not join us. I don't know why. I know how I could get her to join us.
Move your deck away from there.
I tried before, but it's not. That's what I wanted to do, is get her interested in the evil pen. I'll leave it there. Oh no.
Unintended consequences.
Sonny got interested in the evil pen too.
How did he see that? He wasn't even on the table.
So we said lower.
Mm-hmm.
We said, or lower or maintain, I guess. Raise. Or...
Well, lowering the emission standards in my concept was really making them pollute more.
Oh, pollute more. Okay. So in other words, this is pollute less or keep them the same. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. And one in the middle. Oh my gosh.
So which card is first?
Reading.
This one?
Well, this one.
So the first card is the Page of Cups, and the question was about whether or not they should scrap them basically and go back to more pollution.
Or if they would.
And
this is what would happen if they polluted more. Well, it seems to me that it's saying that if they pollute more, they would have something to gain, right? But it seems as though it would be... Well, I don't know. The Page of Cups. How would you read that one here?
This is a hard one to interpret.
This is a hard one to read. I would say that they're...
Another quality of the Page of Cups... Another quality of the Page of Cups... We don't like him doing that. He's trying to get his head under there. Is, to some degree, a little bit of naivety.
Mm-hmm.
And so that could be saying that this decision should not be made in the absence of knowledge. It should not be made with a naive opinion about that. That it shouldn't just be dreaminess or Piscean uninvolvement of sorts, non-involvement with that. So in other words, it's saying that having more focus is needed in order to keep that from happening. And this card sort of suggests that the focus is diffusing a little bit, meaning there is a peril to that happening.
Well, I sense it could also mean that they are seeking creative ways around the whole issue, and so they're trying to find ways to appeal to people emotionally, or to maybe dampen emotions. They realize that emotions can be intense for people who believe they should not be lowering emission standards. They should not be, uh, you know, stopping the progress that they have made.
Okay.
Correct?
So the next one was really about whether their stance on maintaining things, right?
Yeah.
Not scrapping the standards. And this one's really rough to apply to it too.
No, it's not.
Go on
It's
then.
very simple. Well, the reason they may not want to maintain the standards is because, there's not a lot of economic benefit for them to, as a matter of fact, maybe they lose money by making all these changes and making cars more fuel efficient and things like that. And so if they're looking out for their own self-interests, it's not in their benefits to, maintain things as they are now.
Okay. That last
see
part
that?
last part helped me understand it more because I wasn't really thinking that
And we did say it's the Five of Pentacles, right?
Right.
We did show that.
I did show that.
It's a card of poverty. It's a card of destitution. And also it might be saying that, they're afraid they stand to lose more by this. And they know that. But what is right in the situation? That's what it comes down to in the end. And therein we have what? The Wheel of Fortune card. And what does that mean in this case? It could mean a couple of things. It could mean that things are changing. The
cycle is moving.
The cycle is moving. It looks like it's moving in a positive direction, and that positive direction to me would be that standards are going to be maintained or even made stricter.
Yes, that basically we would be working more towards eliminating emissions.
Harmful pollutants. So I think that, and the wheel isn't so much about karma, is it? Sometimes karma plays a role in how the wheel spins. So I would say that they ought to be very cautious in which way they go here, because karma can be a very cruel teacher at times. Wouldn't you agree?
A cruel mistress, they say, or master. Well, this one was a little unsettling for me because it didn't exactly resonate the way it sort of resonated in an inverse way. Like, to me, if this card was here,
Right,
that card was there,
exactly.
that would have made more sense
Well, but
to some degree.
But then again, when I look at the symbology on the card, there's all this water in this particular version of the Page of Cups card, and one can think too of just the overflowing bounty that these auto manufacturers already have and stuff, and that's really what it's all about. They're looking out for their self-interests here. And
These are pools of oil or gasoline that they want to maintain control over.
well, that they want to flow freely, their cars to use it. No, what happened to electric cars? What happened to that? I hope we're still going to be developing, other technologies that are based on, not just based on petroleum and oil.
So, admittedly, maybe that wasn't the best way to ask the question, or maybe that wasn't really very informed on that. But it is interesting how we were able to apply those. So I sort of feel there's something there.
I do. I think it was an okay question, but I think we could have maybe gave it just a little bit more thought.
Well, we'll do better on the next one.
We're still very new at the fantasy forecasts.
You have a blank card in there.
I do. Well, that would have been interesting if that came up.
Is it like the blank rune?
The blank rune. Everybody's
Which
heard
most
of the blank
true
rune.
Norse or Odin type folks don't believe in the blank rune.
That is
Because
correct.
it doesn't really
It's supposed
exist
to
in
be a
the actual
modern day
rune.
invention,
Yes.
actually, and it was not part of runic lore, from my understanding.
So what
of
would a
the
blank
runes.
tarot card mean in a reading? It would probably mean draw your own picture. Make your own fortune. So we're going to do our tarot for tomorrow.
Yes, we are.
As we are closing down into the final 20 or so minutes. So this reading
It's funny.
is
I
a one-card
actually
reading.
thought I had a review today, but I guess I didn't put it on the agenda. So, and there's not enough time, but I have 3 oracles that I want to review that I think I'll save for for Sunday's live stream. So I'm going to think about tomorrow now. We're going to pull our card for tomorrow.
And tomorrow's the last day of the work week for most people.
TGIF, I say. TGIF. For those of you who have to work Saturday, I'm sorry. But
I
I'm a
did
happy
last week.
camper. He has to work occasional Saturdays.
And reminding us that the card we pulled for today was the Upright Hierophant, which sort of said some stifling stuff today. Let's see how we close out the week.
And the Hierophant isn't always a bad card. I just got some rather heavy vibes from it this last time, which is why I went the way I did with my interpretation. Oh. An interesting card for tomorrow. The 7 of Pentacles, upright. Well, you know, the 7 of Pentacles is a card that I feel upright is very pensive. And it is an interesting card to start the weekend with, wouldn't you say? Because in this card, this farm worker, we might call him a farm worker here, he is done his job. He's done his job, and now he's sitting back to see how his I'm trying to think how his.
He's relaxed.
I'm
He's
sorry, I lost
relaxed,
my
and he's
thought.
sort of just sitting back, taking it in. And maybe there's the thought that there's more that he will need to do to finish the work. But at this point,
I knew
he's
what I was gonna
decided to
say.
kind of just sort of stand there in position and admire how far he has gotten.
My apology for my brain freeze. So basically, he is really, he's done everything he could to ensure a good harvest. A week's end, we like to tie up our loose ends. We like to make sure everything is in place and, so we don't have to start the next week, Monday, in chaos. So for those of us who didn't take Friday off, we're trying to tidy things up, finish up the things so that Monday we can start fresh with a new set of demands and burdens for the week ahead. So I think there's a little bit of worry involved here, or wondering, do I have all my stuff together? Did I do everything I need to do? Will everything turn out all right?
I can't disagree with that. I think that it's a good card going into the weekend because it does sort of maybe indicate too that the reason he's relaxed and just sort of admiring things is because he actually, like any farming person or anybody in our society, has multiple brands in the fire at any given point in time. And so he may be taking a moment to pause here, but he is most assuredly thinking about what can happen on the weekend, what he might need to be prepared for. Maybe there's a sense of other things that are more important than this. But this card is a reminder to say, don't always put aside and stop everything. Oh my.
Meow meow.
Meow meow.
He meowed twice. He did the little quiet meows. He also did a little silent meow, which you probably all didn't pick up on. There's a card under him again. There we go. I don't know anything else. Anything else under you? No. So that's going to be our card for tomorrow, and we will post it on our Facebook page with a write-up, and you'll see a little blurb of it on Twitter as well if you visit our Twitter page. And we still have plenty of time left. We have 15 minutes left. So what would you like to do? We'll open it up for readings. Do you have anything you would like me to read for you?
Well, I guess I want to have a final question about Kitty's health.
Oh, Yes, our
And I want to
Sunday-
do this for all three of them as a
Oh.
group.
Yes, because right now they're all supposedly on a diet journey. And unfortunately, because of Sonny's illness last week, we had to change the habit we were trying to instill in them of taking up their bowls every night and only letting them eat, twice a day or 3 times a day. It seems like it brought a little trauma to Sonny, and he got himself pretty sick. So we're doing things differently and feeding them all less and feeding them the diet food. So we want to see if maybe we're doing the right things. What do you want to do with this one? Do you want to ask a yes, no, or just throw some cards?
Let's throw some cards.
Okay.
Did I already shuffle?
Oh, did you?
I don't know.
I don't think you did. Because I was pulling the card out from underneath him. Oh, you dropped a card again, Mr. Dropsy. It is the Two of Pentacles, right? Upright, which
The
means
Two Pentacles.
things
That's right.
seem to be in a harmonic balance right now. The cats, and they all seem to be, they were a little bit upset when Sonny went to the hospital.
There's always the sense that there's multiple things going on with them too, kind of thing, like they're balancing some issues. Sometimes
Well,
it's their
when they were-
emotionality with,
When Sonny went to the hospital, he was, and it came back. The other cats were a little bit up in arms. He came back with all the scents from the hospital, and they were hissing, and they didn't accept him back very easily. He had to kind of earn their trust again, which I think, seeing the Two of Pentacles, shows what already I know to be true. They seem to be back together again as a happy family. So you want me to lay a card out? The first
Sure.
card is... How did that happen?
It's us. I don't know.
It's the
The card
Seven,
that we pulled for tomorrow shows up for our cats
but
today.
reversed.
But reversed. The Seven of Pentacles is reversed. And to me, that's sort of saying, like, maybe they're realizing that they need to be more active, or that we are realizing they need to be more active, that they need to stop being little lazy cats that are just sitting around and eating.
Maybe we are realizing that our plans have failed to some degree, or, there are obstacles, definitely obstacles, because we can't exactly do what the doctor had suggested we do as far as lifting the bowls up and stuff. So we have failed. We hope to get better on track with this, and I think we are on track a little bit. Yes.
Okay, so I want to just go ahead and say, so will we be able to work more completely with how the doctor would like this routine? And
You
I
didn't
have
pull
pulled.
a card from the top?
No, I just decided to cut into it.
Okay.
And I got the Eight of Wands reversed.
Well, that's what you get for not pulling a card from the top.
Okay,
No,
well,
we'll keep it. It's the
Yeah.
Eight of Wands reversed. So what does that tell you?
well, in terms of what I said about whether or not we can follow the doctor's orders or get back on that path, this would seem to indicate that those wands have flown and are done. And that probably our ability to get on track and go towards a direction is iffy. Maybe some of this is the energy level. There's a spentness about this.
Well, we do feel like we're spent, definitely, financially and otherwise, thanks to Sonny's hospitalization. But
Cha-ching.
yeah, and so feel free to donate to us. No, I'm just kidding. We don't need money for the cats. But really, I think that what it's saying is that we have wasted a bit of time because of this, and maybe we've lost time because of his illness and stuff, valuable time trying to get them set on their diet, and it's hard to make up for that now. So maybe we have to find other ways to recreate the diet plan.
So is that the question?
Re-envision the diet
How do we
plan.
recreate the diet
How
plan?
do we re-envision the diet plan?
Ooh,
Yikes.
the Ten of Swords reversed. I guess this is sort of saying just go whole hog.
Well, no, it's reversed. I would
Well, it
say
is saying that kind of like an overthrow or an end of adversity to some
I'm
degree.
kind of feeling that in how do we do that? What was the question again? Repeat it.
How can we get back on
How can we
track,
get
or what
back
can we
on
do to get
track?
back on track?
I think we need to take our time doing it. I think what this is stating is that time will be our ally in the end. Time will heal things, time will make things right. It's not going to happen overnight. We have to get back on track slowly because if we handle it right, maybe we won't freak out Sunny so much like last time.
Maybe not.
Well, will the end result be that our cats will lose the needed weight? Maybe.
Maybe the King of
Maybe
Pentacles.
not.
I'm not really sure how to apply that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure either, other than to say that maybe it's showing that unless we're tenacious, and we don't get lazy about how we do it, lackadaisical, we might be able to pull it off. But I think there's a sense here that this is reflective of us and our commitment to the process.
All of these cards kind of show that we have fallen off of the wagon a little bit. Some of this was because of actual true
admit.
circumstances, and some of this is also just about how we are able to find our will to do this with the cats.
So
It's not easy.
what we have also kind of displayed here is the concept of reading for yourself. Because, yeah, this was for our cats, but obviously we're involved in the process. We are their caregivers. So this was a reading for ourselves as well. And how truthful and honest can we actually be with ourselves? And that's a difficulty with reading for yourself. You have to be willing to look at the negative cards and be honest with yourself so that you can learn from them. So now that we see this, maybe we can take appropriate measures to try to right this, put this in the right direction.
Maybe.
That was pretty okay.
That was pretty okay.
It was pretty okay in that I really didn't like the tone of the reading, but I will say there's a lot of truth there. And the truth bites sometimes, doesn't it?
The truth will set you free.
Well, anybody out there want a reading? This is the time, this is the place. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah, it's likely that probably we're just about done for this broadcast, so I'm going to start mentioning some of our little reminders. We will be writing up the information for the tarot for tomorrow and putting that on our Facebook page as well as on Twitter, and that will be about the upright Seven of Pentacles and what that means for everyone's Friday, hopefully. Something good, so check that out later. You can always leave us a message at the inbox at TFT Tarot for Today on Facebook. You can write to us at our TFT Tarot for Today at Gmail. Leave us a question there or here.
Also, I just threw a card for myself because I just wanted to know if I had a minor lucky winning streak this month. I won a couple $100 and felt pretty good about that. So I was asking if my streak would carry into September.
And what did you pull? The Queen of Cups. Beautiful card. Beautiful card.
Looks like some emotional happiness, which comes with winning money.
I suppose that to some degree, I always feel like there is something a little bit lucky-ish or beneficent about this particular queen. I think all of the queens sort of have that capacity to rule or inform their environment with their qualities. And so that's what I think she's doing here, is just sort of being that signal of good luck and or good times or good energy about to happen or coming your way.
I was going to say something as you were doing the credit thing, and now I can't remember what it is. It's been a long day today.
Oh, other ways to get in touch with us, or
No, wasn't that? I wonder if it was about Sunday's live stream. I cannot think now. The brain is shutting down
well,
rapidly.
Sunday's live stream will feature another meditation by me. I think we're up to the Emperor. And of course, it will have some product reviews that Banshee didn't get around to today.
Some oracle reviews. And, should we do something different Sunday? I was thinking about this a lot. Maybe we should open it up to more readings and really network the heck out of this for the next few days.
But that means you have to come here and ask us more questions.
Ask us questions, and don't be shy.
So this is our announcement that next Sunday we will try to devote extra time for readings. So if it's a chilly Sunday afternoon where you're at and you're not going out, head over to TFT.
Spend a couple hours with us
today.
Yeah. And I know what I was going to say as you were giving it just popped into my head. See, that's how my brain works. So if you are, and I forgot it again. That's how my brain works.
Pull a card, maybe I'll remind you.
No, actually, it was about videos that, we will be posting more videos on our YouTube page. So keep an eye out for them. Like he said, he just posted the video.
I will be posting. I haven't posted it.
Oh, you haven't yet. Yeah. He will be posting that video shortly about the question deck presidential candidates.
Right. We had a question, who will be the president? We decided we're going to do it. We're going to pull those cards. So you can check that out. That'll be uploaded probably within this next several hours or so.
Way premature. But, as I look back on it now, I think it more reflects who might the candidate be just from the Democratic side, but not necessarily who's going to win the election. That's the way I feel about it. But
yeah, I mean, your card said president, but you admitted right away that it is really early out on that. So needless to say that once we know for sure, who the candidates in all of the races are, this will make it much more interesting for us to pull that.
Yep, definitely. So hopefully Sunday, after a nice weekend of rest, my brain will clear out. Won't have as many brain freezes. But thank you for joining us today. And anything else you would like to add? I can give you 2 minutes.
Live long and prosper.
Oh, no. Why?
No, I got nothing.
You got nothing? All right. So we will see you next time on Tarot for Today.
Divine Dabblings with
Have
Oberon
a good
and
weekend.
Banshee.
See you Sunday.
Alrighty.